Just outside Dorchester lies the spectacular prehistoric earthwork of Maiden Castle. Built during the Iron Age, it covers 130 acres in all, with ramparts and ditches up to 50 feet deep, and views of the surrounding countryside for miles around. The site, inhabited since Neolithic times, was fortified over the years between about 350 BC and 100 BC, and would have housed thousands of people in wooden huts as well as their animals.
The Celts in Corrocks crossed to Anglesey. Pre-Christians, early Christians, Irish Celts. What were they like who dug these holes for huts? What were they like who lived in such a place? The ancient Romans too, who settled here at Rockbourne on the Downs before the Saxons called them Hampshire Dorset wilts. Patterned floors, remains of hypocausts, luxurious life where never luxury was seen again. Why did the Normans choose an Iron Age fort to build the castle of Old Sarum here? Why did the clerics, outlined in the turf, you see their old cathedral over there, why did they go away? Was it a water shortage or a feud that drove them down to build in Salisbury? We do not know.
Why did the people of prehistoric Britain set up this great stone circle on Salisbury Plain? What is the meaning of Stonehenge? Were Britain's other rings of stone centers of an unknown pagan cult? The power of their lingering magic has outlasted the rise and sometimes the ruin of Christianity. Nowhere on earth is there more spectacular proof of ancient fascination with the changing skies than here. This is Newgrange Tomb in Ireland. Set on a hilltop above the River Boyne, it is an almost unknown wonder. Yet this is the oldest building in the world. Faced with gleaming and immaculate quartz, it was built 5 centuries before the pyramids. It is 5,000 years old.
How to explain it? I don't know, but quite obviously the builders of this place had thought the whole thing out, had organised this slit so that it would be level with the local horizon, and so that when the tip of the sun appears, there's a horizontal line from the horizon through the slit right to the centre of the floor.
The world's oldest building guards one of the world's oldest mysteries. Perhaps people gathered here 5,000 years ago to commune with the spirits of the dead. Perhaps this unique dawn marked the end of the old year, the beginning of the new. Whatever the truth, the marvel of Newgrange displays the central importance of the movements of the heavens to the builders of the ancient world.
The White Horse of Uffington, 360 feet long. Its adventurous stylisation has roused a suspicion in some present-day observers that it's meant to be a fox, or a dragon, or a greyhound. In contrast, such doubts were never cast on the horse in the old sources, and in a 14th century treatise on the wonders of Britain, it ranks immediately after Stonehenge. The White Horse at Westbury dates only from the 18th century. Passengers on the Paddington to Penzance train get a good view of it as they fly past.
But the incredible scale of this circle at Avebury in Wiltshire almost defies modern explanation. It covers 28.5 acres and encompasses a whole village. In the ancient world, some experts believe, it must have been such a showpiece that Stonehenge, with its weird arches, was built later as a rival attraction. Avebury must have been a massive undertaking. Its construction leaves archaeologists awestruck.
The outside of the tor, ridges. These ridges constitute a prehistoric maze.
Some years ago, a man named Geoffrey Russell put forward the view that these are the remains of an enormous ritual labyrinth, which follows the same pattern as labyrinths that are carved on rocks at Tintagel, on ancient Cretan coins, all sorts of places, and that it would have been a ritual path. People would have gone round and round, in and out and up and down, and to some sort of centre, and this would have had some deep significance in their religion. So I went out there and walked round and round and round, following Russell's rather vague directions, until I saw how it worked, and I think it does work. And I've come back to it since and worked it out in considerably more detail. After I wrote my pamphlet...
Another St Michael's Hill, St Michael's Mount in Cornwall. This lofty isolated mass of rock, some 21 acres in extent, is crowned by the most romantically sited of all medieval castles. At high water, St Michael's Mount is separated from the mainland by a 500-foot stretch of water, but at low tide a cobblestone causeway connects the two. This may be seen in the photograph as a very faint line running beneath the sea's surface. The mount has ever been a place of romance and mystery, having associations with Christ's legendary journey to Glastonbury. It lies at the terminus of a primary lay, aligned to the May Day sunrise, which intersects, without deviating from its course, the prehistoric monuments of Brent Tor, Cadbury Castle, Glastonbury and Avebury, as well as passing through the chancels of many churches dedicated to the dragon-killing St Michael and St George.
In 1991, a very wide and powerful energy line was found to cross Pitch Hill in Surrey. It was found to be a lay from Cape Cornwall to Laysdown on the Isle of Sheppey, passing through the Cerne Giant Hill figure in Dorset and Holmbury Hill, Hillfort in Surrey. But it was also found to be a great circle going round the earth.
When plotted on a globe, the line goes through the immediate areas of some very significant places. One is Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. Its Tibetan name, Chomolungma, means Goddess Mother of the World. Crossing the equator, the line goes right through the middle of Australia and seems to pass through the location of Ayers Rock. For the local tribes of Australian Aborigines, Ayers Rock is a mount of the gods, totally enveloped in legends and myths. Caves, shelters and other minor features of the rock are associated with memories of cultural heroes of the dream time, and sacred rites continually make this time operative in the present. The first and last rays of the sun set the mountain on fire, one can hardly put it otherwise. Its spectacular colour changes have made this rock in the red, dead heart of the continent into more than just an ordinary destination for sightseers, even for white Australians, and an excursion there takes on the dimension of a pilgrimage.
By the Pan American Highway, north of the small Peruvian town of Nazca, there are some of the most puzzling relics left us by any ancient culture. Not ancient monuments or buried gold, but lines and figures etched into the desert. Marching across the pampa, lines run with bullet-like straightness for mile after mile. They're all ancient, all man-made, yet on such a scale that they can only be properly appreciated from the air. They form a bewildering number of patterns and geometric shapes. From crude human figures to exquisite animals, like this giant bird. These figures can't be seen from the surrounding hills. They can only be seen from the air. Why would the ancient Nazcans go to so much trouble to create figures which they could never see for themselves? So who made the lines and figures at Nazca? The best-known explanation comes from the Swiss writer Erich von Däniken, who suggested that they were landing tracks of spaceships from another world. And many of the lines do look remarkably like a modern airstrip.
I am reasonably sure that they tried to draw these big things so that they could be seen from way up in heavens where the gods inhabited. And the fact that they wanted to fly and then they flew, actually they felt that they were flying with these cacti, gave them this idea of drawing these tremendous images of very sacred things and very sacred animals.
Little of Cuzco's Inca past remains, but at the time of the conquest, the Spanish did record a great deal about the religious and social customs of the people they'd conquered. So we know a great deal about the most important of all Inca temples, the Temple of the Sun, so sacred that these walls were plated with gold. Its ruins formed the base of a Spanish colonial church, but in Inca times it was the focus of one of the most powerful Inca institutions, the Seki. These are invisible sacred lines that radiate outwards from the temple towards every part of the Inca Empire. These lines were a crucial part of the smooth-running Inca state and were used to organize all aspects of religious and social life. Over 40 of these lines have been identified, and they are remarkably similar to the ray centers of Nazca. The ancient Seki lines of Cuzco were used as sacred pathways, identified with different Inca gods. Perhaps the ancient Nazcans used the lines of the ray center in a similar way.
That Andean culture and the specific form of Andean culture that we see represented at Nazca is a very complex thing, and I think that only by taking the broadest view of Andean culture will we ever be able to formulate an explanation of what the people at Nazca were doing when they put those lines on the pampa.